Okay, a lot of my clients, when we're talking about relationships, they've been panting. They would say things like, "Oh my gosh, you look like you know all these strategies. Your relationship must be perfect. You must be perfect in this situation." No, I don't. Okay, I just want to normalize that being humans mean you have a wide range of emotions, and it's healthy to bring your whole authentic self, your being into the relationship. And that's what mean that dealing with differences and conflicts is just part of it. And I just accept it. I just accept that sometime I will be really mad and frustrated with my husband or my children, right? But the thing that really helped me is to actually doing my self work, my self regulation, learning about myself, my triggers, and having strategies that are accessible in the moment, and knowing my warning signs when I'm starting to uh, feel the urge to explode, to attack, and take deep breath and relax my jaws and drink my water, whatever has worked for you. And we could do a whole video on, like fighting your own emotional regulation techniques, because I think it's very individual, and you gotta find what work for you and what feel good for you. But the thing I want to talk about today is what are some things that really distinguish the couple that master at nurturing their relationship versus the couple that eventually turn into disaster. And I think the biggest thing with that is being gentle with each other, right? Being gentle with each other in the sense of considering each other feeling, being kind in a daily basis, but also especially when you are dealing with conflict and you need to talk about something difficult, right? Usually I would do my own self regulation and give myself some time to think about it. And then, being empathetic with my husband. Oh my gosh, he must be so stressed, like these things happening in his life. Maybe he was really sick from, last week. And think about that, and then think what would be the best way to approach this? What would be the kindest way to open this conversation, to talk to him about this, right? So a lot of the things that happen in our life are not emergency. It doesn't have to be solved right in that moment when both of you are in like having big emotions and not very able to access your empathetics and reasoning brain, right? So I usually just find some way to get quiet and give some space, and then I would ask him later, hey, I would like to talk about this. What would be best for you? You want to talk now or maybe later tonight, right? Then we have the conversation, and I really work on having a soft opening, sharing my appreciation, sharing my understanding of his situation, his perspective, and then we go from there, right? So being gentle, being kind to each other, a lot of these things that a lot of people do it naturally with their kids or with, their friends, but for some reason it's hard for them to do with their partner. But over time, this kind of a softer, more gentle, more kind approach will minimize the need for people to counterattack, to be defensive, to protect themselves already, to stonewall you, right? So that's one thing that's been very helpful in my relationship. I'm still kind of the hot temper one, so I know that about myself. So I try not to explode, not to like really address it right away. The second thing is to remain good friends with each other. Now, personally, I don't think my husband is my best friend or even my soulmate. He is a very important part of my life, but my best friends are Ginny's and Camila, where I would call and say, hey, guess what happened? But with my husband, it's a different relationship, but I genuinely like him. I want to be around him. When I go somewhere, I want to take him with me. You know, if he walk into the room, I feel good. My body feel relaxed. I feel just low-key happy and peaceful around him. And I find him interesting, right? He's a very interesting thought. He's very kind, genuinely liking each other. And that is something that obviously when you first come together, you like each other, you're very passionate about each other, but I don't think it's very deep, right? The deep kind of liking each other when you live together, you raise kids together, you go through life challenges together, you navigate conflicts together, is so much deeper. And you have to be more intentional about cultivating it and making time and making intentional efforts to make it happen and to forgive small things that, kind of not ideal, but also not red flags, right? So cultivate your friendship, go out and talk and have fun, engage in new activities, new things that you want to do together. And then the third thing is very important, is know how to recover, how to repair from ruptures, right? A lot of couples, I think, they get in trouble ironically because they try to avoid conflict. They try to avoid talking about the rupture in the relationship. They tend to either withdraw and avoid anything emotional altogether, or if they kind of exploded at each other and they stop talking to each other, and then that's it. They never come back and really repair the rupture. And what happened is that, once they just building up resentment for each other, and two, it doesn't go away. 3 or 6 months from now, you have another fight, and that come up, and you're like, where did that come from? But that is kind of building up into a vicious cycle. So I think it's much healthier to just say, earlier this morning, as was not ideal, and I would like for us to treat each other better. And I would like to be able to present these things to you in a more calm and clear way. Can we talk about it tonight? Right? I think it's very important to just say, I was angry and I was also sad and hurt that you say that. It's vulnerable, but it's so necessary if you are going to build a relationship based on truth, based on honesty, and based on trust, right? So make sure that you go back and repair the rupture as soon as possible, and then move on. Like, you forgive and you forget. You don't talk about it anymore. You don't bring it up anymore. If you already deal with it, okay, don't bring it up anymore, and that's it. Usually, if you start with this, make these changes in yourself and in your relationship, you're going to start seeing improvement right away. And then maybe in other video, we could talk about how to communicate during, like big emotion moments, and how to use nonviolent communication to talk about things that you want. Okay,